Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer. Our guest today is Sara Sheehan. She's an executive coach, and we are going to talk about transforming organizations. Welcome to the show, Sara.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to be connecting with your listeners.
Well, let's start by talking a little bit about what you do in your business, so our listeners have a frame of reference for what you're doing with your business and what you're doing to help organizations and executives.
Absolutely. And so I come to this juncture in life with many years of management consulting, almost 30 years with major firms. And over the past 2 years, I have ventured out on my own, and I am currently doing management consulting and executive coaching, both. Those are two sides of my business, Sara Sheehan Consulting. And I help not only individuals, but organizations transform. All of my expertise is in the human capital space. So I deal in people and organizations, literally. On the consulting side and for coaching, I believe that my ideal client is with a medium-sized business. So a business that has around $100 million in revenue, going on up into a couple $1 billion. However, the big caveat is that there are plenty of startup businesses out there where business owners have a need for an executive coach to help them with their leadership team, whether it's an individual or the group as a whole. I'm seeing it right now. I'm having people reach out to me. Equally, I am, although I'm not trying to work with Fortune 100 companies and essentially compete against my old firms, if there is a large organization out there that wants to work with me for my expertise, I would equally not turn them away at all. In terms of growth and my business's trajectory, I have some really interesting consulting projects that are underway right now, and I'm really generating a lot of interesting conversations about executive coaching and what it can do for your business.
Well, let's segue on that. Let's go off on that tangent. A lot of people have heard of executive coaching, but what is the value of executive coaching?
Truly, the value lies in the ability to ask open-ended questions such that the individual that you're talking to is able to actually generate new insight. You're creating space for them. You are putting them in a situation where they are not experiencing stress or anxiety. They have tremendous comfort in the conversation. And because there is no threat, they're actually able to create new connections in the brain that they didn't have before. It is amazing at what it can do for your business when you create that kind of space for your leaders to gain insight and grow. They are going to be more engaged at work. And it is going to have financial ramifications that are positive for your business. You will likely have higher profits. You will have a fewer safety incidences if you happen to be in the manufacturing space, as an example. You would have lower turnover and lower absenteeism. When you have an engaged workforce, there's a tremendous amount of research that backs up the positive impact on your business.
So we're talking about coming into an organization and helping the leadership team to be more valuable to the organization and probably a lot happier in
Exactly.
their career as well.
Exactly. And so, one of the key points that you just touched on there is an increase in well being. When people are happier and they are less stressed and anxious, they have a tendency to have a higher level of well being. And that is a wonderful thing for business today. As a result of the pandemic, it really made people take a step back and realize that they needed to get in touch with what they need on a daily basis to be healthy, well, and essentially love their neighbor and their team. And so people really are making strides in showing up at work better and saving time in their calendar for their workout, literally blocking the time, doing what they need to so that they can show up their best. Wouldn't you, as an executive and a business owner, want your team to be happy and well and engaged in your business?
Well, it's a valid point. So when we're talking about the quality of our employees, we could say, we all know the difference between someone who is miserable, they're unhappy, it's a negative mindset. It has a negative ripple effect. It adversely affects productivity. It adversely affects creativity. Certainly, there are a lot of people that just are dissatisfied with their job. And that's probably why we see so many people, frequently leaving and turnover and the great resignation and all of the symptoms of people feeling really unhappy and really unfulfilled in their career. Then you see some of these companies that have a really, really positive company culture where the employees feel good, they're happy, they feel like they're a valuable contribution to the whole. And it's so obvious that it has a positive effect on everyone as well as the ROI.
Absolutely, it does. It's a circular situation. If you choose that you want to, as a business executive and owner, that you want to have a great company culture, you really want to invest in your people, you want your people to desire to grow and put their own skin in the game as part of the process. Having those kinds of characteristics in your organization are absolutely going to pay dividends long term. It absolutely goes directly to the bottom line. Recently, I believe it was in June, the Gallup organization released their State of the Workplace report for 2022. It's an absolutely fascinating report, which I'm sure you can only imagine the content that's in it. It basically puts an underline and a bold on all of the key points that you just shared about the workforce right now, how disillusioned they are, how much they are wanting to be in an organization that focuses on well-being, how much they understand they need to focus on their own, not only physical health, but mental health, literally, and make sure that they are in their best place mentally and physically to make a difference. There's so many indicators in the world right now that will make a difference, not only at work, but at home.
It's crazy to think that not that many years ago, during the Industrial Revolution, people were literally treated like a commodity, and their lives, their physical lives, were not even truly valued. We've come a long way, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. And there are a lot of companies that really have not adopted that conscientious approach to treating their employees like real people. They're people. They have families, they have lives, they have desires, and they're incredibly valuable assets if you treat them properly.
Absolutely, yes. I am a big proponent in this day and age of we really need to make sure in every business that we actually have great managers and leaders. We need to get back to caring for the people that work on your teams. Literally, get to know them. Make sure that you're keeping all of your meetings with your team. Make sure that they see that you care. No nuance, no birthdays and names of kiddos. All that stuff makes a huge difference. And if you can make it personal financially, where you're doing nice things for your team, I think that's even more powerful. But it's a great time to make sure that your senior team is sharing the love and showing that paying it forward is a great way to live, not only for the individuals, but for the business.
Now, you obviously do a lot of work in the corporate environment, but you yourself are a small business owner. So now I want to highlight you as the business owner, and I want to talk to you about your own mindset journey in business.
That's a great question. Mindset is something that I've really been working on in earnest over the past couple of years. There are some things that I do that have really helped along the way. I meditate regularly. I have a small group with my church where I'm held accountable and I hold other people up as well. So I've created a structure in my life that's helping me to be thankful for things that come my way by gratitude journaling or even speaking my gratitude out in a meeting so that others can hear how grateful I am. Those are just a few of the things that I'm doing. I'm also making sure that I'm taking time to journal and write, to get my thoughts out on paper so that I can get some perspective on it outside of my head, if you will. Definitely taking time to reflect more. And I do think it absolutely helps. I think all of these things make a huge difference.
Mindset is really the foundation of the results that we get in business and in life. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to acknowledge that when you are negative, when you're pessimistic, when you are always in scarcity, things are not going to go well for you.
Right.
When you can pull yourself out of those types of old patterns, which can require a bit of work sometimes, but that shift in your mindset makes all the difference in terms of not only how you feel, but the types of actions that you're willing to take and how responsive and receptive people are to you. I mean, it really, truly is the foundation for all of the actions that you're taking and all of the results that you are able to get in your life and in your business.
It really is. I find that it feeds into what I would call even my energy or how I come across in a conversation. So I even work to get my mindset in a good place before a meeting, or make sure that that meeting is scheduled at a time of day where I can still be my best. So I think I'm thinking about all of that as I look at my calendar for the day.
I like to say sometimes you need to hit the mental reset button because it does convey basic sales training. What do they say? If you've ever done phone sales, always be smiling. The person on the other end of the phone cannot see your smile, but the energy conveys.
That's right. That is exactly right. I can agree with that more.
So, what about some of the things that you've bumped up against in business? I'm curious if you're willing to share maybe one mindset obstacle that you've had to overcome in order to get to where you are today in your business.
Gosh, there are quite a few. I mean, stepping out of being in a large global consulting world where there's a lot of support into being on your own, it is a big shift. There's no question about it. But I do find that because I've done it for so long, it's really for me about generating more conversations with the right ideal client. And that is that is literally what I'm thinking about when I look at my calendar for the next week or the next month. Was it easy initially? No, I'm not going to tell you it was easy. Have I felt like I'm out on the edge of a cliff? Absolutely. I work through that and have worked through that by really thinking about my frame of mind. Based on your earlier question, literally, I'm trying to mentally get myself off the cliff so that I can have a productive conversation in every conversation. I'm using every connection that I have with people for a positive end, sharing with them what I'm up to, finding out how they are doing, having regular check-ins with people that have mattered in my career over time, testing out my business from a market research perspective to see if they think it's a relevant or a viable idea. So those are all things that I've been doing on a regular basis. Has it been easy? No. I don't think it ever is, but if you're comfortable in your own skin and you're willing to put yourself out there, I definitely see that it's amazing what you can create if you allow yourself the space to do it.
I love that. Sara, how can our listeners connect with you?
Absolutely. Your listeners can check out my website at sarawsheehan.com. That's SarawSheehan.com. And they can also find me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Sara, Sara dash Sheehan, Sheehan. I would love to hear from your listeners. If there's a business owner out there that has a need for a human capitalist and executive coach, I would love to hear from you.
Perfect. This has been a great conversation. I want to thank you so much for being with us today, Sara.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing and your focus on mindset, because I know it can absolutely change the dynamics and the results that businesses achieve.
Well, we also have to thank our listeners. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.